So in today's video, I'm here in the Australian bush and I'm doing some wildlife photography. In this area, I know there's a bunch of wild koalas and a bunch of wallabies as well. As I just saw a few as I was hiking into this location. But I was here yesterday and saw a koala right around here, and I know that koalas don't move far from day to day, so I'm hoping to find him again. And also in today's video, I just kind of wanted to go over a little bit of tips, just some casual tips on wildlife photography. So let's get going and let's hopefully find some animals to photograph. Alright, so one tip it would be to know your subject and to know the location of where you're at. That's if you're setting out to photograph a specific animal, then you want to know those animals' behaviors, when they're active during the day, what kind of environment and habitat they like. Usually what I like to do is Google national parks and then kind of Google the list of animals there. Then I usually go to a place and then find an animal rather than have a specific animal to go out and photograph, because it can be a little bit more challenging unless you know specifically that that animal is in that location. And then when you're hiking through the bush and everything, depending on where you are, that's where I am here in tropical North Queensland. It's the dry season, so it doesn't really rain that much and there isn't too much water at the moment. So I always look for like little water holes like this, because animals usually are never too far from water holes because they obviously need to drink, so they'll frequent this area. And especially the koalas. There might be more koalas here in this general area because they're closer to the water and they don't move too much during the day. But I haven't been able to spot any just yet. But I'll keep on looking. So I mentioned earlier that I saw a koala on my hike in here, and the reason I didn't stop to photograph it was because it was way high up in a tree, which made it very difficult to get an image. Because when photographing animals, you want to try to stay more at eye level with them, just because it makes the image a lot more pleasing. And also he was way up high in the tree, and it's kind of a clear day, so it would be just a blue background, and the sky would have been blown out because I'd have to overexpose rather for the koala to get that properly exposed. So it just wouldn't have turned out for a good image, so I just passed that opportunity up. But I'm sure I'll still be able to find some more. Normally with wildlife photography, it's a lot of sitting and waiting. That you'd want to find a location that where the animals frequent, like a game trail or a den or something like that. But the reason why I'm just wandering through the bush and not worrying about being too quiet is because my main subject for today is the koalas. And these koalas don't really scare easily at all. And mostly during the day, they just sleep in the trees. So my walking around won't scare them or won't bother them, but it's just hard to find them because, as you can see, they could be up here sleeping in the trees and I wouldn't even notice. So I've probably walked right by a couple of them and haven't even been able to spot them. And it also helps too when you know other animals that are going to be in the area. That way you can tell by looking at their scat and their tracks, so you can see what other animals there are. Like here we've got, it's kind of hard to see, but you've got some wallaby footprints. You got the 2 hind feet and then a tail drag there. So I know that wallabies like this area because I'm seeing a lot of tracks all over here. So I know I could probably set up with my camera somewhere and then wait for a few hours and see if one hops by. which I might do if I don't have any luck finding koalas. Alright, so I finally found a koala. He's just right over there. I don't know if you can see him or not, but I'll get my long lens out and take some more video. I'm kind of spoiled with koalas as a subject, because again, they don't frighten away very easily. So I'll be able to set up my camera and kind of work my way around him, taking different pictures, trying different compositions, and they're very patient. And where he's at now, he's in a good location, kind of low in the trees, so I can use all that as a nice background, so the background's not going to be a blue or gray sky. Yeah, well, I'm going to stop talking and actually get set up and take some photographs. The pictures are actually coming out pretty good. He's nice and backlit. So now I'm just going to move with my tripod around, because right now I'm kind of backlit by the sun. So I'm going to try and move more to a 90-degree angle with the sun just to get different light on him. I just hope he turns and kind of watches me as I move. See, one of the problems though with photographing koalas is they're just not very interesting animals. I mean, yeah, they're very unique and very special to see in the wild, but they don't really do anything but sleep in the tree. So you gotta spend a lot of time just watching them, waiting for them to kind of even open their eyes, really, to get an image. But it's still just awesome to spend time out here and watching them. So I'll probably spend a couple hours here until we lose all the light, and then I'll go for another walk looking for another one. So I'll just casually keep working my way around him, trying different compositions, and yeah, just waiting for him to move or look at me or do something interesting, which I'll definitely be waiting a long time. So another tip for when photographing wildlife is try and put something in front of the lens, sort of. Like me, I have these leaves kind of drapesing on the top, and that kind of adds a little green dreary effect to the image by the koala. So it just adds a little bit of interest and makes it a little bit more artistic. But you gotta be careful to make sure you're not blocking out the animal's face with whatever you're putting in front of the lens, because obviously it'll make it not sharp. This koala's still not doing nothing, just taking a snooze. I've been here for about a half an hour. Still got plenty of light though, and I moved around looking for compositions, and really this is the only spot that I found that has a clear shot to his face. Moving around and everything, there's really no other place to kind of get a clear shot of the koala, so I settled with this location. But yeah, I think I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and I'm going to pack up and head down the trail some more, because I saw another koala yesterday down the trail where the sunlight will hit right before sunset, so I'll get plenty of light. And here where he's sitting right now, we're not getting that much light. Oh, he's actually moving. Alright, so I'm going to leave this guy alone, and I'm going to head a little bit further down on the trail and look for a few more koalas and then possibly some wallabies as well. So I haven't spotted any more koalas, but I did see a bunch of wallabies run through this area over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my camera and kind of wait for a bit to see if any of them come back, because we have some nice wonderful light just streaking through the forest here. So yeah, I'm going to set up. We still have about an hour before sunset, so I'll wait for a while and maybe I'll get lucky and something will pass by. And then another kind of tip, well, not really a tip, just kind of how you do landscape photography, is just sit and wait. And even if you have a subject in mind, make sure you're being optimistic, because you never know what'll pass by. Sometimes you're waiting for something, and then you'll see a bird or something else, and then obviously make sure you take those pictures as well. But that's what I love about just sitting and waiting for wildlife, because a lot of times you have no idea what you're going to see, and sometimes it's something really interesting. But most times it's nothing. And then another thing when you're set up waiting for wildlife is make sure that you're all ready to go. Make sure your camera's turned on, the lens cap is off, and that you've already dialed in an exposure as well. So I've just been exposing for some of the light in the scene here and getting a base exposure. That way if any animals come, I only have to adjust my shutter speed slightly to get the animal properly exposed. So now the fun comes of just waiting. And then one of the main reasons I did choose this spot to sit at is, well, I did see the wallabies of course, but also if you look down here there's a bunch of wallaby tracks and a bunch of wallaby scat as well. So I know that they frequent this area, so I know it'll be a place where they'll be frequently traveling through. And not to mention this log is pretty comfortable, and it looked more comfortable than anything else to sit on since I didn't bring my chair. Yep, still have about 40 minutes until sunset, so I'll still hang out here. I'm starting to lose some of my light in the scene, but yeah, I'll still wait it out and hopefully I'll see something. I should be quiet so I don't scare away all the animals. So now all the sunlight is gone from the forest here. The trees are blocking all the sunlight so nothing will get through. So even if I did sit and wait and see some wildlife, it just wouldn't be too good of an image because the light makes it a lot more dramatic. Plus I'd have to be using a very high ISO, which would cause it to have a lot of noise and not be that sharp. So yeah, but still a good day. Saw a koala, spent some time with it, so that was pretty nice. Did some exploring, saw some wallabies, but didn't get any pictures of them, unfortunately. So I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned a thing or two, and make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.